Hey, good evening, everyone, and welcome to this month's webinar, which is on exercise and cancer. My name's Emily Hodge, and I can see that some of you are here already, which is very exciting. If you haven't been on one of these webinars before, you are able to just type into the side, probably by the side of my face, you can see a little chat box. You can say hello over there and just introduce yourself and let us know just that you're here. You can say hi. Your name will automatically come up, so you don't have to say that. Hi, Valerie. Hi, Alison. Hi, Valerie again. So as you want to make comments today or add anything, hi, Annabelle, you're welcome to just put some chat and questions in the chat box as well. We've got Mary here as well, who's obviously our co-host today, and I'm just going to make her the co-host with me. So I have to ask her to share the stage with me, which is very dramatic and exciting. So whilst we're doing that, and Mary say, hi, Mary.
Hello.
Yeah, hi, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. So we won't let on that we had some interesting technical issues trying to test this earlier.
God, it was exciting. Yeah.
Very exciting.
Hi, everybody.
So yeah, as you come on today, just let us know that you're here. So I wanted to just start today by, we're going to go into a lot about Mary actually and her story and what inspires her to do what she does, but also I wanted to just say a little bit about what this webinar was inspired by in the first place. I met Mary through a group that we're on sort of supporting small businesses. And it really occurred to me that it would be really lovely to have a chat together because there's lots of, not just misunderstandings, but lots of information about fitness after cancer that we might assume that we already know, but that we're not carrying out, or that we might already be doing, but perhaps pushing ourselves more than we need to be pushing ourselves, or not setting ourselves challenges that are high enough potentially. I think there's a lot about exercise that we can feel guilty about. I'm not doing enough, and that can be quite difficult. So perhaps during today, we're going to get talking a bit about the psychology behind exercise as well as exercise itself. So I'm just looking, Sarah, you can only see Mary. That's interesting. Can you hear me though, I take it? Maybe? Can everyone else see me? So there's an interesting one on these webinars. So, and the other thing, Alison can see us both. Okay, so it might just be sometimes to do with a connection that's lost for a second. Hopefully you can still hear us, Sarah. So what I wanted to ask you before we go into Mary's information and story, I'm going to get you to tell us what you love. What exercise is your favourite exercise? What do you love to do, or what exercise do you absolutely love? Mary, would you tell us yours?
Oh, now you're asking. I love Pilates, but my first love, I suppose, was anything cardiovascular, really. Yeah. I love doing group classes, and I still do actually like doing group fitness.
Being a participant in them.
Yeah, actually being a participant. So yeah, I mean, I love running. I like a general all-round fitness regime, actually.
It sounds like it, yeah, because obviously
over the years, I've learned to love other sort of like disciplines, and yoga is actually one of my favorite ones as well now. So yeah, anything goes as long as I'm moving around.
But did you love yoga a while ago? Was it post-cancer that you loved?
Quite recent, that one.
Recent, yeah. Okay. Anyone else? What other exercises do you do if you're watching here? So I would say my probably heart goes, I mean, literally it goes racing, but my heart just feels really passionate about running. I just find it really, headspacey, literally, just that sense of being free. Sarah, you're the same, running. That's really interesting.
Sarah loves running.
I do love a bit running. And then I always used to find the kind of calming exercises harder to get into, just a little bit harder to sort of concentrate. But I do absolutely love yoga, certainly love yin yoga. So it's that really polar opposite to anything that's moving and stretching and doing too much. Just the idea of being quite still, I think, really helps with your mind, doesn't it? It's really nice. So, I mean, there's other things that people have said when we've asked this question before. There are things like walking, cycling, spinning, strength training, weights, stretching, HIIT training, climbing. We've got someone in our Moving Forward Facebook group who loves climbing. Annabelle, you love running too in classes. Thank you. Also got someone who loves flamenco, which is just...
That's interesting.
I mean, that's fitness and fun all together.
Yeah, exactly.
Cycling, yoga, running, but your knee doesn't. Yeah, good point. Yeah. And lots of things about kind of what the high impact does to you, doesn't it? If you're also maybe training bra as well. There you go, just let that one out. So some of the things that we know that people struggle with post-cancer with their exercise as well are things around kind of having whether you feel fatigued and whether you can carry on doing exercise or start any. There are things around kind of getting ill or feeling more ill and whether you should take up exercise when you're feeling ill still, even years potentially after cancer. We're going to talk a bit, aren't we, Mary, about, you know, excessive exercise, but am I lifting something that's too heavy for me, even though it makes me feel fit? Perhaps lung capacity has changed. And some of the questions that we get asked are around, am I actually doing more harm than good by pushing when I'm not ready to? So there's some of the things that we know come up when we think about cancer and exercise. If anybody's watching and would like to just mention what your perhaps biggest concern is around exercise, we can cover some of that in, you know, when we look at this together and some of the questions at the end as well. What do you hear mostly, Mary, around concerns on cancer and exercise?
I think the main thing is am I pushing myself too far too soon, basically? And you know, obviously I've got this sort of like inbuilt, you know, almost like instinct in me to just move around. But you know, I always try to say to put people's minds at rest by saying actually, you know, unless you're doing something really excessive, then any type of exercise, as long as it's safe for the particular cancer that you've had, is you know, is quite safe generally. You know, I'm a real advocate for moving around during treatment as well. So I think if you can just do a little bit during treatment, if your body allows it and if your mind allows it, and if your consultant allows it, then I see no reason why you can't do some exercise, you know, during and you know, and post treatment. I mean, you know, people just are too scared generally to do exercise.
Did you manage it? Did you manage that when you were going through treatment? So we haven't really talked about the cancer experience yet, have we? But we'll go straight into this.
Yeah, so, well, we can sort of like backtrack a little bit. But when I was having my chemotherapy, yeah, there were days when I just felt completely zapped and couldn't do anything at all, and spent most of the time on the couch really. But on the days I felt well, then I just started moving around, and it would maybe involve walking around the block or walking up and down the garden, or you know, just sort of like going to the park with the kids and just you know. And I even actually went to group classes as well. Wow. Now, you know, there could be an argument that I was maybe doing too much, but I just made sure that I told the instructor at the time. And so then you know, if I had to sit out for even half the session, half the class, then I would. So it's, you know, it's just a case of listening to your body and just doing what you can. I mean, you know, eventually I think I was out running as well. I did a bit of running, you know, sort of like during the chemotherapy. You know, I know people that have run marathons during chemotherapy. So it really is a personal thing, you know, but I think the general sort of like, the general consensus of opinion is that it is safe to exercise during and after cancer treatment.
And evidence that's been out, I suppose, generally for a while, but even getting more specific around actually it's a benefit. It's a benefit to your chemo effects. It's a benefit to fatigue even, which is the irony, right? Because you're sitting at home thinking, I'm really tired, my muscles really ache.
Of course. Yeah, it's definitely. And I think we've got some comments going up, haven't we?
Actually, yeah. This is amazing. So shall I go back to the top ones? What have we got?
Yeah, let's go back and talk to Alison about.
Alison,
So
you're
I'm
at
at
the
the
start of treatment, and I really worry about loss of fitness and weight gain, to be honest. Yeah, what do you think we could advise Alison?
So, well, definitely they are two. They're two big concerns actually, and I think that, you know, generally speaking, that is what most people do worry about. And you know, when I started my treatment, that was one. They were two of my biggest fears, especially being a personal trainer. I really thought I would lose all the capacity to do anything. And that's why I think, sort of like going back to what I was saying before, you know, it's all about just keeping your body moving, and, you know, sort of like you inevitably, I think you will put on a bit of weight. I actually put on about a stone in weight during the 6 months I had chemotherapy, and I was exercising as well. So some oncologists will argue that you don't put on weight with steroids, but I don't know.
Alison, I don't know if you've mentioned it, but I suppose it might depend on which cancer you have and what treatment you might be having. So
exactly what treatment you're having. It's just really, it's all really important, and really, you know, so the concern about putting on weight is definitely a valid one, but, you know, with a little bit of movement and, you know, losing the fitness levels as well, again, with some movement, you are still keeping your heart and lungs sort of quite strong to a certain extent, because that is what chemotherapy can do, is affect your cardiovascular capacity quite dramatically. So, you know, anything that's going to sort of like get you moving around and getting your heart and lungs working is a good thing.
And is it fair to say, if you can't, don't feel guilty? So allow yourself to know that if you can't for any reason, and you book a class and you need to cancel it, or you're very ill in bed and you can't get out, that is going to be some of the effects some days, right? So there's something about the mindset of allowing yourself to listen to your body, because there's never going to be another time that you need to listen to it really well.
Yeah, definitely. You have to go with your instincts as well. You know, you could be that, depending on the type of treatment you've had or whatever surgery you may have had, you do have to listen to your body. And for example, when I had my chemotherapy, every 3 weeks I was having a cycle. So the first week I would feel really quite rotten, and then sort of like, you know, subsequent 2 weeks I was feeling better. So that's when I knew that I could actually do something. But yeah, definitely listen to your body first and foremost.
I mean, it was interesting. From my experience, I had bowel cancer, and such a massive surgery as well. And I was really quite fit before, and it sent me into a place where I was very, very ill on the chemo. And I think that was a slightly unusual case. You don't maybe get always quite so ill, but I just felt constantly like I really want to be doing something, but I was too sick. Couldn't get enough energy really to do anything. But, you know, now, as you'll know, right, so years down the line, that absolutely adapts and it changes. So I guess the piece of advice that we could potentially pass on is that this will be one element of your fitness story from now, and it will change as you end treatment.
Definitely. I mean, there is the argument that it's a vicious circle, that if you don't have a lot of energy, you know, sometimes people can tend to take that as a sign that actually ongoing they're not going to have a lot of energy, you know. But you know, it's a well-known fact that if you do feel like you haven't got any energy at all, just to sort of like lie around or sit around forever during the treatment, you're not going to make anything better. It's a vicious circle. So that's why, you know, just doing something and not just, you know, having complete bed rest for, you know, for the duration of your treatment, it's not really advisable. I think, you know, if the less you do, then the less you'll feel like doing. Basically, that's how it can work as well. So there's always that to bear in mind.
Understanding that balance, right? So knowing that whatever that was relatively to you is probably going to be important as well.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
We've got Sarah's got, so she's got two concerns. I'm building arm strength having had all lymph nodes out, worried about the risk of lymphedema, and 2 hysterectomy. What's BSO actually? I don't know what that is. And on tamoxifen, and I'm worried about bone density and risk of osteoporosis. Running and walking help. Oh, thank you. Both ovaries out, thank you. What exercise can I do to improve, maintain bone density elsewhere, for example, arm? What do we think about number 1, Mary?
So, building arm strength. Yes, there's always a risk of lymphedema when you've had all your lymph nodes taken out. I've had all mine taken out as well. And, you know, the first thing they say to you is be careful with that affected side and think about weight restriction. So if you're doing sort of like weightlifting, for example, always restrict the weights and keep the weights quite low. So now this is a bit of a debatable one because I do lift weights. I do lots of resistance training. I lift weights. I do lots of body weight exercises as well. And, you know, I think, and I have, touch wood, I've never been affected.
Have you built that up over time? And did you have that strength before you were ill as well? I guess that I'm thinking about, is it relative or is it?
Yeah. I did have strength, I'm not going to lie, but I did have to build it up over time. Yeah, I didn't sort of like, you know, have the operation and then go straight into weightlifting exercises or body, you know, or body weight bearing exercise. I just had to build it up gradually. There's always a risk of lymphedema, whether you do exercise or not. That's a well-known fact as well. And lymphedema can come on years and years after surgery. That's the other sort of like the other thing to consider as well. I think if you're, you know, Sarah, if you're worried about getting the lymphedema, then I think that exercise shouldn't really come into it too much because it could happen any time, basically. I know lots of people that have lymphedema that don't exercise at all. So it's a bit of but also Sarah says here about the
running.
Where is it? Yeah, about the you've had it's called an oophorectomy. Do you remember that, Sarah? I've had that too as well. So of course it's not great. And if you're a younger woman in particular, and you've had both ovaries taken out, you're obviously in your menopause quite early on. There's the risk of osteoporosis because of the menopause, and of course tamoxifen, which is the hormone treatment, will also, can also aggravate, you know, everything as well. So again, but here we go. This is that sort of like that double-edged sword again, that vicious circle. So with osteoporosis, it's a well-known fact that any resistance exercise actually helps to lay down calcium onto the bones. So it's really interesting that actually you can do weight-bearing exercises and use weights if you're taking tamoxifen. You know, if you've got severe osteoporosis, for example, then I wouldn't recommend doing certain things.
If Sarah goes to her local gym and asks the gym instructor, you know, would you recommend I lift weights? Is it likely that that gym instructor will be able to guide her based on a cancer perspective, or does it?
No,
not more than unlikely, I would say. Yeah.
No, not really. Whenever I talk to people about exercise after treatment or during treatment, I always say it's really important to go to somebody who understands your situation. Unfortunately, a lot of gym instructors are young men, and they don't really have, unless they're actually qualified, and it's normally a level 4 qualification, a PT qualification at level 4, then they probably wouldn't know about it, you know. And I think it's quite important to understand that as well. I wouldn't just go into any gym and just ask, you know, a young boy about what he can and can't do.
Sorry, Mary, interrupt you. If someone on the webinar was going to go to their gym or an instructor, what would they could ask? Do you have this level of training so that they feel confident that they could be sort of guided in the right way. What's that training called again? BT?
It's normally, well, there are actual cancer qualifications now, cancer and exercise qualifications, but an exercise referral qualification is normally quite good, and normally quite good enough to cover sort of like cancer and exercise as well.
We could put this in the email to everyone afterwards, couldn't we, and say these are some of the places that would be useful for you.
Yeah, I, you know, don't be frightened to ask. I think you've got every right to ask the gym instructor or your personal trainer or whoever it is, whether they understand what you're, you know, what they can and can't do. And also, obviously, just going back to that, you need to get clearance from your GP or from your consultant as well, because they're the ones that will really understand what you should and shouldn't be doing. Definitely. I think I'm just wondering if I've answered Sarah's question properly, because she's asking what she can do to sort of like to improve her bone density. Obviously, like we said, Sarah, running and walking and light weights. You can use light weights, you know, I think quite freely and not have to worry about, you know, the risk of breaking bones or lymphedema.
Sorry, start low and build up, right?
Exactly, exactly. You know, and you'll understand how your body's adapting, and you'll understand what your capabilities are and how your fitness levels are increasing. You know, it's sometimes it's good to keep a diary as well, to keep a diary of what you're doing each day or every other day, and just maybe sort of like keeping that diary going for a few weeks or for a few months, and then you can look back and think, well, actually, when I first started, I couldn't do very much, and now I'm doing a lot more. So, yeah, so that's definitely something good to do.
So let's have a look and see just after, I'm just going to go back again, actually, yeah. So after Sarah's question, Valerie's just said, I've got, had an LD flap procedure and wonder what I can safely do to improve upper body strength. But I wonder if it provides similar guidance, actually.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, it's with a latissimus dorsi procedure. Emily, that's the muscle on the back, sort of like just below the shoulder blade.
I'm not the biologist.
Exactly. So basically, you will have restricted strength around that area. I mean, even having a mastectomy, sometimes the surgeons take out part of the pectoral muscle, the chest muscle. So again, which I had done as well. So again, you will feel that you've got less strength in the upper part of the body. But again, light weights and doing chest exercises with light weights, shoulder exercises, which also sort of like work the muscles at the back as well. And any back strengthening exercises are all good with light weights, and even body weight exercises. You can do some press ups, but not full press ups. You can do the sort of like the box press ups, or you can go onto the fleshy part of the knee and do what we call 3/4 press ups as well. So there are things that you can do, and they're great for upper body strength. Really good for strengthening the upper body.
And it goes without saying, I suppose, for any other area that you've had surgery in, it's really about being able to understand the capacity that area now has. So, you know, just plug my laptop in, actually. Understanding, I suppose, that a certain side of you might very well be stronger for a while than another. You may not get the strength fully back in that side, but building up slowly to be really I suppose not overdoing it. So even though I'm going slowly, I might be doing too many reps, for example. So pulling back on the number that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly, definitely. I'm just reading Victoria's message here. My biggest concern is feeling very pressurized or pressured to constantly exercise to reduce my risk of recurrence. I'm meant to get 150 minutes moderate activity per week, which is what we talked about earlier, Emily. Trying to achieve this whilst not exhausting myself is extremely challenging. I'm so if I don't get it all done. Okay, Victoria, do not feel guilty. First and foremost, do not feel guilty. You're just giving yourself more pressure and more stress. I think we've sort of like said it quite a few times to myself and Emily. You just really have to just listen to your body and take it easy. You know, you don't have to do those 150 minutes per week. The main thing is that you're doing something. It really isn't a case of, you know, exhausting yourself and pressurizing yourself to do anything apart from, you know, the sort of like what you can do. There is a lot of publicity nowadays around exercising to prevent a reoccurrence. We know that. But there's no point in pushing yourself to the point where you're stressing over it anyway. That isn't going to help matters at all. Yes, there is evidence to suggest that, you know, moderate exercise does help you, but I think it's better to do what you can. As long as you're doing something, then there's no reason why you can't do half of that and feel good, because that's the main point. The main thing, isn't it, that you feel good about yourself and you feel better in yourself.
And almost allowing those endorphins to flow when you've done a 5-minute walk, let alone whatever it is you're breaking that into each day. You know,
exactly. And it doesn't always, it doesn't have to be cardio exercise all the time. It can be quite holistic. You know, gosh, yoga can be really quite taxing as well. So, you know, depending on what type you're doing, you can try something like that, really. Swimming, cycling, you can make it as hard or as gentle as you like. But please don't feel guilty. There's no reason to feel guilty because it's not.
No, carry on, Mary. Sorry, I keep overlapping you.
Exercise also helps my stress levels. This is Alison. Yeah. This is where it does really, you know, this is where it's great exercise because you're releasing all those happy hormones, those endorphins. So it really does help with stress levels. And I found that it was a distraction as well. So I just found that I worried less if I was active and doing stuff, moving around.
It makes you feel able-bodied, doesn't it? You suddenly feel like you're maybe less of a cancer patient or survivor. You are suddenly reintegrated back into a life where other people are.
Yeah, it's all part of just getting back to normal, isn't it, really? It's all part of that process. So it's great for stress levels. And I'm very impressed, Alison, that you do spin classes during chemotherapy. So well done with that. But again, you know, don't overdo it. Don't exert yourself too much. And cycling outdoors. I mean, being outdoors, brilliant. Fantastic. If I could choose between going on a treadmill in a gym and being outdoors running in a park or somewhere sort of like, you know, scenic, then, you know, always outdoors.
Everyone, by the way, if you don't already follow Mary's Instagram, you should do, because it's just lovely. She's got all of her exercises. Will you pop the link in the chat, Mary? It's got the videos of her in the studio that she does, and then she's also kind of out running and doing. It's a really lovely feed, actually. It makes me feel really nice when I look at it. So, Alison, you're saying that Macmillan team have referred you to specialist PT. Maybe worth asking your Macmillan team about any local specialist PT. Brilliant, yeah. So that might come under the exercise on referral funding or system that you might be able to get through your GP. So yours is 12 free sessions. That's brilliant. It's really good, actually, isn't it?
Where are we? Just popping up my link. So I just missed that last bit.
Yeah, Alison
Emily
was just talking about Macmillan. I think the exercise on referral system, because Macmillan funds some of it, I think, for the NHS. So it could be that if it's something you want to get involved in, you may be able to ask your GP or even phone your local Macmillan centre and ask about it. As often with these things, it's something that if you're not aware of it, you don't know to ask for it. So maybe specifically say, is it available in my area?
Definitely. Just backtracking a little bit. So I think we've covered that lifting weights with arms will help with bone density, definitely. What you can also do is like things like squats and lunges, but just holding weights without moving the arms. So you're adding resistance to the body that way. So you're just holding the weights and then sort of like doing squats and lunges. I mean, I do have those things on my Instagram actually as well. So if anybody wants to sort of like just check them out. And again, body weight exercises like push-ups. Sarah, if you can't do even one push-up, don't worry, that's very normal, especially after sort of like having all your lymph nodes taken out and all the, you know, the treatments and whatever. Just do box press-ups and then gradually start doing your 3/4 press-ups when you're on the fleshy part of the knee, not on the kneecap itself, and then just build up from there. And that will build up your upper body strength, definitely, as well. So that's that one. So resistance helps bone density, not just impact. Yes, it does. Yeah, resistance definitely helps bone density, without a doubt. That's really good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a Macmillan thing. The I've heard of them, and
the
it's
Tottenham
good.
Hotspur one,
definitely.
Because you're in, aren't you? Actually,
I've heard of them. Yeah, not far from Tottenham. I don't support Tottenham though. Don't. Just because we've got any Chelsea or Arsenal supporters out there.
But I'm thinking,
so definitely take that offer up. 12 free sessions is brilliant. It's amazing. That's really good. Yeah.
I guess what's really interesting. So if anyone else has any concerns or you want to add your concerns, please do keep going, and we'll come to them as we're, you know, we've got half an hour left, so we can keep going back to them. You know, one of the things I guess we sort of covered some of it. I mean, we talked a bit about some of the things we're going to talk about today, really mainly the concerns that you have, and how to understand what might be right for you. Now, some of the conversation might have happened in answering your questions, but actually it might be quite nice to think about those things as well. And one of the quite, I want to say, controversial topics that Mary and I are aware of is this idea that is floats around, I guess. It gets put on social media, or people put references to bits of research or whatever, that excessive exercise can cause your cancer to come back, or to return. Now, I'm saying that more as a question because we see it written, and we kind of want to look a bit about what that is and whether it's true or not, and whether there's evidence for it. So we'll cover that, because I think that's quite important for us to say. Also, what we think as practitioners in our various fields, and what you might think as well, because it will be different for everybody. And then we're just gonna, we'll talk a little bit about some coaching at the end as well. But Mary, would you just, we're now going to flip back a little bit. I think it would be lovely if you could tell us a bit about your exercise, I'm going to say the word, journey, and sort of how that changed for you with cancer, and what it's been like since. Is that okay?
So my exercise, the cancer, and then during and sort of like afterwards, that sort of thing. Yeah, so a bit of my background then, basically. I think, so I was a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor before the diagnosis. So when I was diagnosed in August 2007, it was a real big shock to me, because I was so fit and healthy. I was at the peak of my fitness, didn't smoke, didn't really drink that much. So I couldn't understand why I'd been diagnosed with breast cancer. But it's one of those things that you have to accept. And I think, you know, as you sort of like learn more and more about cancer in general, not just breast cancer, but cancer in general, you do sort of like appreciate that actually your lifestyle isn't everything to do with it. You know, you can be fit and healthy and still be, you know, sort of like get diagnosed with it. So it's like somebody who has lung cancer and they've never smoked a cigarette in their lives. It's a bit like that. So when I was diagnosed, I did actually stop working because my job was so physical. I think if I'd been working in an office, it would have been a different story. But I was teaching classes in schools with primary, you know, for primary school kids. I was teaching like legs, buns and tums circuits. I was doing like lots of PT. I was very busy actually. So I gave that up because I just didn't think I could. It was fair on my clients if perhaps I wasn't feeling that great, you know, one day and I had to cancel sessions and that sort of thing. So I took basically about a year and a half off in total. because I really concentrated on just getting the treatment done, having the surgeries, but then also making myself better in the meantime. And I think that's where it was quite nice, because for me, because I just felt like I wasn't being pressurized to go back to work. I could just really concentrate on myself and making myself better. So, you know, I made it sort of like I made it a bit of a mission, really, to make sure that I did exercise during my treatment, because I thought it was the right thing to do for me. It was a personal thing. And, you know, if I felt better, I knew that I would go out for a walk, or, you know, walk up and down the stairs a couple of times, or, as I said before, take the kids to the park. So I had a mastectomy, 6 months of chemotherapy. I was on tamoxifen for 5 years. And in those 5 years, I basically built up my business again and just started all over again, as you do. And then just to cut the story a little bit shorter.
As well is the fact that, you know, she took enough time out. Hello, Mary. Yeah. I was just going to almost commentate on your life for you. Sorry, do carry on.
Yeah, so basically, I built up in those years, I built up my fitness again, you know, to a point where I was quite comfortable with it. And I was actually quite surprised I'd regained quite a lot of my previous fitness capacity. The only thing that I can't really do nowadays very much, sort of like in going back to Sarah on this one, is that I can't do too many full press-ups. But apart from that, I mean, I could do plenty of box press-ups and loads of three-quarter press-ups as well, but not as many full press-ups as I could once upon a time. So that's the only thing that I really haven't been able to regain a lot of strength in. But apart from that, I do more or less everything. So I unfortunately, I had a second diagnosis in July 2014. Again, it was another setback, you know, but I'd been sort of like exercising and been keeping healthy, eating healthily. So again, I couldn't really understand the reason for the second diagnosis, but hey ho, it happened. We just had to sort of like carry on. And with that second diagnosis, I had more surgery, including the removal of my ovaries, and I had radiotherapy. I didn't have it the first time, so I had radiotherapy the second time round. And of course, I changed my treatment, my hormonal treatment. So now I'm taking anastrozole, okay, which is a post-menopausal hormonal like inhibitor type thing. But I did have to change from letrozole at one point, only because I was getting quite a lot of joint pain, which actually stopped me from running. I just went back to my oncologist and said, look, you know, I can't not run, it's my job. So he changed the drug, and and it really helped. So the anastrozole is it does the same thing, but it's a lot kinder to my joints. So that's good. So and just sort of like thinking about that, I didn't actually try to run. So I understood that my joints were quite bad. So I didn't actually think, well, I have to force myself to do this. No, I just thought, you know, I just have to sort of like go in, you know, attack this a different way. And so I went back to my oncologist and told him, and then he quite rightly changed the drug to a different one. So that's that really. So and you know, and here I am today. So almost 10 years post my first diagnosis, you know, and yeah, I'm here to tell the tale, and I think I'm getting stronger, you know, as the years go by. So that's, you know, and yeah, exercise is really important to me. So that's my exercise journey. Are you still there, Emily? Hello? Right, okay, is anyone still there? If you can type in the comment box for me. Yes, okay, so everyone's still here. So I wonder where Emily's gone. whilst we're waiting for Emily, has anyone got any other questions they'd like to ask? Whilst we're waiting for Emily, has anything sprung up in your minds that you'd like to ask me? So Emily's just messaged me on text saying, can I still see everybody? So I can, yes, but I can. But where are you? Has anyone got any questions they'd like to ask? Okay, so Sarah, I've had a lot of joint pain since hysterectomy and ovaries out, but I am convinced that days when I run, it actually helps. Yeah, definitely. I think so, Sarah. I think you're right in that, in saying that. If the joint pain, if the joint pain that you've got isn't too severe, then I don't see why it wouldn't help. For example, I sometimes get back pain, lower back pain, and running really helps me as well. So if it helps you and it's moderate exercise, you're not running a marathon or anything like that, then definitely just keep doing what you're doing. Definitely. Oh. Okay, thanks, Valerie. Bye, Valerie. Nice to have met you online anyway. So thank you for coming along. Alison, is there a particular yoga instructor qualification I should ask for to ensure they're qualified enough? That's a really good question, Alison. I don't know much about yoga instructor qualifications, I must admit. So I'm not really, I can find out for you. If you want me to find out, then pop your email address in the comment box and I will definitely find out for you. For example, I'm a Pilates instructor as well as a personal trainer, and I do have a qualification, a breast cancer rehab qualification, for example. But I'm not sure about yoga. I'm not sure about that one. Annabelle is saying, which exercises did you do first after your operation to ease yourself back into it? So when I came round from the operation, I couldn't even lift my arm off the bed. So the first things I tackled were the arm exercises. They were quite important. So definitely start doing those and stick to those for as long as you can. And then after, I suppose the first thing that I did after that was walking. Yeah, I'd go out with my sisters and we just walk around the park, take a stroll in the mornings. Yeah, and then after that, I probably sort of like intensified it a little bit and started walking up and down the stairs a few times. Yeah, so basically after the operation, there's not a lot that you can do. So even upper body strength wise, I wouldn't bother trying to do anything apart from just sticking to the arm exercises if that's what you've been given. Again, it depends what sort of operation you've had as well. So if you've had your lymph nodes taken out, then obviously you can't do very much. But then, yeah, I think about a month after my operation, I started the chemotherapy. And so chemotherapy obviously affects you differently to just, to the operation after effects. So, I mean, I actually started doing quite a lot of walking and then sort of like gradually easing into running during the chemotherapy on the days I felt well, because there were days when I just felt like I couldn't do very much at all. So that's quite important. Yeah, and just building it up gradually. Alison, yeah. Alice, thanks to you. Thanks for the email, Alison. We'll take a note of that. And what's Sarah saying? Oh, I thought of another question. That's good, Sarah. I keep thinking of questions. Are there really specific exercises that help get rid of belly fat? Again, I put on weight, but it's all around my middle. somewhere I never used to gain weight. I used to be a pet. Okay, bless you, Sarah. If I had, I'm just going to take a picture of Alison's email. So if I had a pound for every time I get asked about belly fat, I'd be rich, really. The belly fat thing as well, it could be to do with the fact that you've had your ovaries taken out, you've had a hysterectomy. It's one of sort of like, it's quite a common thing. It's seen quite a lot in, you know, when you're going through your menopause as well. But of course, as you get older, you tend to hold the belly fat. It's very stubborn fat to get rid of as well. Now you can't spot reduce fat. Okay, so you can't do exercises that are just going to blast the fat on your belly, unfortunately. If you're going to sort of like, you know, reduce fat in your belly, you'll reduce it all over the body, not just on your belly, unfortunately. So that is quite a difficult one. I mean, there are exercises that you can do which target the abdominals, but maybe not the superficial part of the abdominals, but more so the underlying muscles. So yeah, I'm not sure how to answer that one for you, because as I say, you can't really. Just one second, Emily's calling me. Hi, Emily. Yes, I am. Can't you get back on? Oh no, all right, okay, Emily, I will, definitely. All right then, thank you, bye. Just very quickly, that was Emily. She can't get back on for some reason, so she apologises to everybody, and she will basically, you know, if anyone's got any questions for Emily as well, we can definitely take those forward for you and get those sorted out. But yeah, so getting rid of belly fat, going back to that one, it's really difficult, Sarah. It really is difficult. I mean, if you found that you've put on weight generally, then obviously it would help to lose a little bit of weight generally, and you may find that your belly will sort of like go down around your middle as well. So yeah, it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult. You do change body shape, unfortunately, when you start estrogen, insulin. Those hormones they play a huge part in where we as ladies in particular store fat. So thank you, Annabelle. Thank you. And you're all amazing as well. So no, thank you for saying that. Yeah, no. All those claims about targeting belly fat, honestly, they just don't really work. Sometimes you can, it depends why you're, you know, if it's belly fat, then obviously it's all about losing a little bit of weight. If it's bloating, then obviously there are things that you can do to try and reduce bloating, but that's a different story altogether. Yeah, so you're right, just general exercise and trying to lose overall weight. Definitely. So does anyone have any other questions? Feel free to ask away. We've got a couple of other people that are online now. So we've got another Alison. We've got Tina. You know, if you've been quiet, then don't be shy. Just ask away. This is a good opportunity for people to get answers, hopefully, to any questions they might have. And if I haven't covered anything that you may have previously asked, then please, you know, feel free to come back and yeah, and ask again. Is there anybody? Oh, Alison, here we go. Is swimming good for bone strength? Yes, it is, because the water acts as resistance. So yes, it is good for bone strength. Personally, I wouldn't say it's one of the best, but it definitely does help. Definitely. Yeah. So if swimming is what you like to do, then by all means, just carry on doing that. Definitely. Is there anyone here who doesn't exercise at all? Anyone who doesn't exercise at all here that would like some advice on how to start off, or is anyone doing sort of like, is anyone training for an event in particular, or just, you can ask anything, We've got a few more minutes left, so please feel free to ask away. Is anyone doing, hi, sorry for joining off. That's fine. Hello, Tina. No worries that you've joined late. That's no worry at all. Have a question about breathlessness, any exercises to help with that. Can you, so when do you get, Tina, if I can ask you, when do you get breathless? When does that happen? Is there, when you're doing something in particular, or just generally, just walking around? Was it during a certain type of exercise, for example? During exercise, when it's difficult to breathe after, say, climbing the stairs. Yeah. Okay. Are you having chemotherapy at the moment, or have you finished with your treatment? I'm about 5 months. Okay. Right. Okay. So, okay. So it sounds like you just need to build up your cardiovascular strength, basically. What, are you on any tablets, any treatment at the moment? Are you on any medication, for example, at the moment? Just to give me an idea. Still finding it difficult to work out. No, I'm mid-free. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I think it's just a case of persevering. That cardiovascular strength actually takes quite a while to come back. You know, your lung capacity decreases quite dramatically when you're having chemotherapy. So I would say just be patient. And I think I mentioned earlier, but you might have missed it, is I would keep a diary. Keep a diary of what you're doing on, and on a daily basis, just add to that diary and just basically to see how you're improving, because I think you will see an improvement. You might feel like you're not improving, but honestly, that there should be an improvement. And if you find that you're not improving and you're still quite out of breath, then I would probably go back to the GP and just get run it past them as well. But I think I remember struggling with my lung capacity quite a lot after the treatment, and it's a gradual thing, but it does get better. Does that answer your question, Tina? Yeah. Normal doesn't happen overnight. Normal takes time, definitely. So don't worry about doing too much too soon. Just take it really easily. But I think like you said, the workout diary will make a difference. I think if you just write down just walked for 10 minutes today, and then what else you can do actually is you can actually use a scale of 1 to 10. So it's what we personal trainers call an RPE scale, which is a rate of perceived exertion. So quite often when I speak to my clients, I'll ask them where they are on that scale of 1 to 10. So 1 being, for example, yeah, I don't feel anything at all. I'm just not working at all. Don't feel anything. And then 10 being the other extreme where, gosh, I just can't do anything else. I just can't work out anymore. I'm flat out. So you can use that scale of work as well. So, for example, today is Wednesday. I did 10 minutes walking. How did that make you feel? And just document that. And then maybe sort of like, tomorrow or the day after, then do the 10 minutes again, but maybe just increase it slightly by a couple of minutes and then see how that feels as well. Yeah, I think that's hopefully that helps as well. That's good. That's really good. Yes, please feel free. We have about 5 minutes. We have about 5 minutes. I'm just gutted that Emily couldn't get back on to the webinar. That's such a shame. So hopefully we'll we'll get you'll hear something from Emily soon in one form or another. Oh, Wendy's just joined us, or has Wendy been with us for quite a while? So if I haven't said a hello to anybody, then hello to anyone that may have just joined us. But yeah, just we've got a few more minutes. We've got about 4 or 5 minutes, so feel free to ask away any questions that you might have. Oh, that's good, Sarah. I'm really pleased to read that. And I think I gave my Instagram account details earlier. You can find me on Instagram just under Mary Huckle, but you can also follow me. You can also contact me on Facebook as well. I do have a business page called Breakthrough Fitness. So if you want to join me there as well, you can always chat to me there or message me if ever you do have any questions that you'd like to ask about anything really. It doesn't have to be cancer related. It can be just about exercise in general. Then you are all very welcome to do that. You're very welcome to just come and pick my brain about anything. Oh, that's really good. Thank you, Alison. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it and you found it useful, and hopefully we can maybe do it again. So keep an eye out for these webinars. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you. So I think we'll wrap up now. So I'm going to start saying my goodbyes to everybody, and it's been great talking to everybody. As I say, we hope to do maybe more of these. So I might even try and maybe start some of my own if I'm able to. So yeah, watch this space. And Emily's got lots of webinars that happen all the time as well. So Emily is, as you know, is a coach stroke therapist. So if ever you need help in that area as well, Emily's around to help as well. So Emily Hodge, as you may already know her. Okay. So thank you, everybody. Thanks. And I'll chat with you again very soon. Thank you. Bye. Not sure how to stop it now. I think Emily will have to stop it. I think it might just disconnect at 8:30. So yeah. So we can just maybe just sit here until it just disconnects. I think it will just go off 8:30. But thanks everybody for joining us this evening. And again, apologies from Emily. I don't know why she got cut off, but she did, bless her. Okay, bye.